Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you wanna be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that.
What you just heard is not just fiction. It is life speaking to you through a man who has fallen, been beaten, and been discredited. His name is Rocky. And he is not just a fighter. He is a living reminder that either you learn to endure pain, or the pain will crush you every day in silence. Rocky teaches us that it is not about looking strong, acting tough, or talking tough. It is about standing up when everything is pushing you to the ground, when no one believes in you, when even you start to doubt yourself. And that is when the game changes, because most people stop, but the ones who win are the ones who take the hits, keep their faces off, and keep going. You want to know what defines a man? It is not how much he hits, it is how much he gets hit and keeps going. This video is for you who have already fallen, for you who have tasted defeat but refuse to live with it, for you who understand that suffering is part of life, but staying on your knees, that is a choice. And here, we don't choose to hide. We choose to get up because it's not about suffering. It's about how much you can bear to suffer and get up. Have you ever noticed that the most respected men you know are always the ones who have been through the most pain? They don't talk loudly. They don't play the victim. They carry in their eyes the weight of someone who has lost a lot, but has never lost himself, because there is a type of man that life cannot break. It can even hurt. It can break his body, his plans, his pride, but it doesn't break his spirit. And this type of man is not born ready. He is forged in loss, in loneliness, in rejection, in the silence of the early morning where no one sees. Do you think you are the only one who feels like you failed? That you should be further away, with more money, more respect, more achievements? You are not alone. Millions of men go through this every day, but only a few do something about it. The rest drown in distraction. Beer, cell phones, pornography, excuses, complaints, escape. Men who have been trained to avoid pain, as if suffering were a flaw and not an invitation to change. But the brutal truth is, pain is necessary, because without it, you don't change. Without it, you continue to be the worst version of yourself, only older. And let me tell you something that no one tells you honestly. There is no motivation in the world that will sustain you every day. What sustains a man is the clarity of what he wants, and the willingness to suffer for what matters. Every guy you admire has had to deal with sleepless nights, with closed doors, with contempt, with the shame of having failed publicly. But do you know what separated these men from the ones who disappeared? They got up the next day, with pain, with fear, with doubt, but they got up and did it again and again and again. Do you want to be that kind of man? Then stop looking for the comfortable life. Look for the life that shapes you. Start seeing pain as a test, not as a punishment. When life hits you, take a deep breath and face it. When the world goes against you, stand firm. When shame visits you, use it as fuel for the fire. Because if there's one thing pain does better than anything else, it's showing you who you really are. And if you haven't become the man you want to be yet, it's because you're still running away from it. Every man reaches a moment where quitting feels easier than continuing. Not because he's weak, but because he's tired. Tired of trying. Tired of failing. Tired of carrying the weight of expectations no one sees. And this is where most give up. Not when the pain starts, but when it refuses to go away. Let me tell you something hard to swallow. Your pain won't kill you, but running from it might. Because the pain you're feeling right now isn't just punishment. It's a tool, it's a forge. It's the fire that either burns you alive or turns you into something unbreakable. You say you want to be strong? You say you want to lead? Then you need to learn how to suffer with purpose. Real strength isn't born in comfort. It's born in silence, in the early mornings when no one's watching, in the nights you cry without a sound, in the rejection you took without revenge, in the shame you swallowed without escape. This is where power begins, in the moments no one claps for. And I get it. You thought by now you'd be more, have more, achieve more. But listen closely. You're not late, you're just soft. And the pain you're feeling, it's life handing you the blade. You can use it to cut yourself, or to carve the man you were meant to become. Stop waiting for peace. Stop waiting for someone to rescue you. The world owes you nothing when the clock is ticking. So the next time you feel like giving up, don't. Just sit with the pain. Look it in the eye. Let it teach you. Let it harden you. Let it strip away the weakness and leave only what's real. Because there's a version of you on the other side of this pain. And he doesn't quit. He doesn't complain. He doesn't break. He rises. There's a reason the strongest men you know walk differently. They speak slower. They don't rush to prove anything. They carry themselves with something rare, silence and certainty. And that only comes from pain. But not just any pain. Pain that they didn't escape from. Because here's the truth. Most men don't need more motivation. They need more suffering. Not the kind that destroys, the kind that refines. When you stop seeing pain as the enemy and start seeing it as your personal trainer, everything changes. Discomfort becomes a compass, discipline becomes your shield, and fear, it becomes fuel. You begin to realize it was never about the world being against you. It was about you being soft against the world. And every challenge was an invitation to level the hell up, but you were too busy complaining to accept. So let me ask you, how long are you going to hide from your own potential? You think life will get easier? It won't. But you can get harder, more focused, less emotional, more controlled, more dangerous, in the best way possible. Because a man who has trained his mind through pain is a man no one can stop. You can't scare him. You can't manipulate him. You can't break him. He's seen what it's like to face himself and not flinch. So if everything in you wants to quit right now, good. That's exactly where transformation begins, but only if you decide to go through it, not around it. Only if you choose to stand tall while your knees shake, to walk forward even when your heart screams for escape, to let the fire hit you and burn off everything that isn't real. Because on the other side of that pain, there's a man waiting, and he's you, but better, stronger, wiser, unshakable. Don't die before meeting him. Now stay with me, because in the next part I'll show you how to take all this pain and turn it into a weapon, not for destruction, but for absolute, unshakable self-control. There's something sacred about a man who doesn't flinch, not because he doesn't feel, but because he's trained himself to act anyway. Discipline is pain, mastered. It's the ability to wake up when your body begs to sleep, to move when your emotions scream quit, to lead even when no one's clapping. Pain gave you the trigger, but discipline pulls it day after day, without applause, without validation, without comfort. That's how self-respect is built. Not in the mirror, not in compliments, but in the dark hours when no one's watching and you still show up. Because the truth is, pain doesn't care about your plans. It doesn't wait for motivation. It comes to see who you really are, and whether you'll bow or become unbreakable. Most men are slaves to how they feel. Their actions follow their mood, but not the man you're becoming. You don't train for the days you feel strong. You train for the days you feel empty. For the mornings you wake up broken and still lace your boots. For the nights you go to bed knowing you gave it everything, not because it felt good, but because it was necessary. Pain is not your enemy. Comfort is. Comfort steals your edge. It softens your instincts. It makes you forget what you're capable of. But every time you choose discomfort on purpose, every cold shower, every difficult conversation, every brutal workout, every moment of silence instead of reaction, you become someone even pain begins to respect. So stop using your wounds as excuses. Use them as warnings, as reminders, as weapons. Because the man who's been through hell and came out walking doesn't fear anything anymore. Not failure, not rejection, not even himself. You want to be that man? Then start living like him. Now, because the only thing standing between the man you are and the man you could be is your willingness to keep going no matter what. And if this message hit you hard, then you know what to do. Drop a comment below and tell me where you're at. Hit the like so YouTube knows this message matters, and subscribe, because this is just the beginning. Most men want to be seen. Few are willing to be solid when no one's watching. But here's the secret. The world doesn't need more loud men. It needs more anchored ones. Men who don't move when the storm hits. Men who don't collapse under pressure. Men who, even when no one claps, still show up with excellence. You want to be powerful? Then stop trying to prove. Start trying to last. Because in the end, power is measured in consistency, in repetition, in how often you choose what's right over what's easy. There's a man you were born to become, and he's not emotional. He's not desperate. He doesn't beg for attention. He's focused, he's reliable. And when everything falls apart, people look at him because they know he won't flinch. That man doesn't show up overnight. He's built, brick by brick, choice by choice, repetition after repetition. While others sleep, he sharpens. While others escape, he endures. While others collapse, he adjusts, adapts, and advances. Pain was his test. Discipline was his answer. Now he walks with quiet fire. He's not loud, but everything around him changes when he enters. Because people feel his gravity. Not from ego, but from presence. From the weight of who he had to become when no one believed in him. You want that kind of power? You want to walk into a room and command respect without saying a word? Then earn it. Through suffering, through solitude, through relentless execution. Become a man your younger self would admire, and your enemies would fear. That's the goal, not popularity, not applause, but to be the kind of man no one can replace. The kind of man whose silence means more than most people's noise. When the world breaks you, it's not trying to destroy you, it's trying to reveal you. Strip away what's weak, expose what's hollow, and call forth what's buried deep inside. That fire you've been trying to ignore. Pain doesn't ask for permission. It shows up to test your foundation. But if you learn to stand in it, not run, not numb, not complain, if you learn to own the pain, then it becomes yours. Not your enemy, but your edge. Most men will never know what that feels like, because most men are too afraid to suffer for something real. But you're not most men. If you've come this far, if you've stayed with me this long, it means something inside you refuses to settle. That voice you've been silencing, it's time to let it speak. Not with words, but with discipline, with action, with presence. Let today be the day you stop waiting to feel ready. You are ready, because pain already chose you. Now it's your turn to choose who you'll become because of it. And if this message spoke to you, don't let it die in silence. Hit the like, leave a comment, and subscribe. Not for me, but for the man you're becoming, because he's watching you now, and he's counting on you to show up.